Hello everyone, I got some amazing news. All of the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons Sorcerer Subclasses are now available in Baldur's Gate 3 for both PC and console players thanks to IncogneatoBurrito's Book of Sorcerers mod, which adds in the Aberrant or Aberrant mind, depending on your pronunciation, Clockwork Soul, Divine Soul, and Lunar Sorcery subclasses. I want to do a breakdown of this mod because it is my favorite subclass and class in Baldur's Gate 3, and the icons were done by Sumer Dagnoth, who made the 5e fighter, barbarian, monk, ranger, and cleric subclasses combined. And you can see here, it legitimately looks like something that's from the base game. High quality. So to briefly break down each of the subclasses, the Aberrant Mind here is the one that feels the most natural to Baldur's Gate 3, as one of the origins is that you got a Mind Flayer tadpole that didn't turn you into a Mind Flayer, so you didn't get Ceramorphosis. Makes perfect sense for Baldur's Gate 3. This is the most offensively focused one here, and you're able to set up disadvantage on the target's saving throws. And you get special psionic spells here, which gives you access to some spells that the sorcerer doesn't normally get access to. At level 1, it's Arms of Hadar and Dissonant Whispers, but at levels 5, you get access to Hunger of Hadar, and then at level 7, you get the Summon Aberration if you have Mistress spells downloaded. The Clockwork Soul is more defense focused, and you can protect your teammates by turning any attack roll against them into a normal roll if it had advantage, or if they have a saving throw that they would have disadvantage on, you can turn it back into a normal roll. Later on, you can create wards at level 6 that will protect your teammates, reducing the damage that they take. Divine Soul, some people may have used before because there was mods similar to this one, but it's kind of like a cleric mixed with the sorcerer, which gives you access to their spell list. But what's great about this is you also get access to the normal spell list of the sorcerer, so it's actually really nice because one of the downsides of playing a sorcerer is you have less spell selection. You also get the Favored by the Gods charges here, which allows you, when you make an attack roll or saving throw, to increase your roll by a 2d4, possibly change the result. Really powerful. You can also choose a Divine Magic Affinity here, which will give you access to different spells, and at later levels, you're able to use your sorcery points to increase your healing. And the Lunar Sorcery is kind of like a more complex but rewarding support style sorcerer, which obviously still very powerful offensively, because you get to choose between different lunar embodiment forms, which gives you access to different spells. And at later levels, you get different benefits like advantage on certain rolls and things like that, so we'll explore that a bit more in this video. We'll first start off with the Aberrant Mind here, because you get access to a really fun cantrip with Synaptic Sliver, which gives a 1d4 penalty to saving throws, which is obviously really good if you want to land enchantment spells. What's also great about that is it applies a condition, so if you have any gear that is procced off of applying a condition, works very well here. Arms of Hadar and Dissonant Whispers are alright, but this telepathic presence is really effective because targets that have a saving throw will make it with disadvantage for 2 turns, so this allows us to land a lot more spells. We also get access to Calm Emotions, which is very useful in the early game, most notably at the Harpies, whenever you got the kid walking towards the beach. We also got the Detect Thought spell, which is another nice one to have. And once we hit level 5, we get Hunger of Hadar. This is nice because unlike the Warlock, we can actually cast it at level 3 without using an upcasted spell slot and wasting it because it doesn't get any upcast benefits. We also get access to Fear, which is a really nice spell, making the enemies drop their weapons. Our level 6 subclass ability is Psionic Sorcery, so whenever you are silenced, you can use sorcery points to cast your spells and use them instead of spell slots. And you can also do this if you run out of spell slots, which is kind of cool, as it only works with our psionic spells, so things like Hunger of Hadar. We also get psionic or psychic defense, which gives us resistance to psychic damage, very useful in this game against mind flayers, and you advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. Upon hitting level 7, we get Everett's Black Tentacles, another crowd control spell, although I prefer Hunger of Hadar a little bit more. We also get Confusion, which is a great spell. The enemies only have a 1 in 10 chance of doing something normal. They'll usually attack each other. And then the Summon Aberration spell if you have Mistress spells downloaded, which allows you to summon in a Beholderkin or a Cloaker Aberration. Upon hitting level 9, we get the Dominate Person here. Decent spell, Telekinesis, throw people off of ledges. Not something you're going to use often, but they're nice to have. Now, our level 11 ability is pretty cool. You get the Revelation in Flesh, which has 3 different options. You get the Psionic Sight, which allows you to see invisible creatures and reveal them to others. And you cannot be blinded, and gain the ability to see in darkness out to a range of 18 meters. And we also get the Sonic Flight here, allowing you to fly short distances over harmful surfaces. And also the Sonic Malleability, which makes you immune to being restrained and unable to be moved. You can always move, no one can stop you, and you can squeeze through small places, kind of like a gaseous form. Now, all these have level 20 support, so once we hit level 14, we get the Improved Telepathic Presence, which allows you to use your Telepathic Presence twice per short rest. And my favorite ability is once you hit level 18, you get the Warping Implosion. So you teleport from a place, and you make a portal that opens like a black hole, which pulls everyone in, deals 3d10 of force damage, and you teleport away to another area, which is kind of cool because you can do that, and then use that area as like a fireball, just drop it right there. And the way you typically play this is you'd be using your Warping Implosion, you would put it on yourself and then teleport somewhere. It's going to create that black hole, pulling everything in. That'll be your area of effect. You can set that up by doing like things like Synaptic Sliver to give the penalty to saving throws, and then you can drop something in Confusion, which is much more likely to land whenever they have penalties to their saving throws. And then you also got the telepathic presence there to be able to make the enemies have a disadvantage on their saving throws, so you can land those spells. And next up, we got the Clockwork Soul. I really like this one. It's more defense focused, but the Sorcerer's already an offensive powerhouse, especially in Baldur's Gate 3 with how good the action economy is here. But you get shield and protection from evil and good, and restore balance. So when a creature within 18 meters of you makes an attack roll or saving throw with advantage or disadvantage, you can make them roll normally instead. And you do this in equal number to your proficiency bonus per long rest. So you can protect your teammates from getting a advantage attack roll against them or a saving throw that they may have disadvantage on. We also get really nice spells like Aid and Lesser Restoration. Aid is really good because this just gives us straight up more health points. And there's a few staves in the game which gives you a free cast, which lets you cast this for free. It's worth using. We then also get protection from energy and remove curse, which are situational but could be decent. Level 6 gives us our fun ability to Bastion of Law. Bestow a Bastion die on an enemy or an ally, allowing them to use the Bastion Ward. The number of Bastion dies is equal to the sorcery points that you spend it on. So they'll roll a D8 die, and then whatever they roll, that's going to reduce the amount of damage they take from attacks. It's pretty cool. The way that it works is basically you're going to buff your teammates up with this and allow them to tank some hits they normally wouldn't be able to. The problem is sorcery points are so valuable to a sorcerer, so it's kind of a gamble. Do you want to give them the Bastion die, or do you want to use that for a quicken spell? It gets kind of interesting when you look into using like difficulty mods and things like that, but yeah, it's a fun ability. Level 7 also gives us Summon Construct, a very cool spell, and Odaluk's Resilient Sphere to keep Isabel in her place from running to her certain death, and Freedom of Movement, another nice spell. Again, we do feel kind of a support role, which is nice. At level 9, we get Dispel Evil and Good, as well Greater Restoration. Our level 11 ability, the Trance of Order, you can enter trance which attacks against you cannot be made with advantage, and your attacks, ability checks, and saving throws have the rolls result of 9 or lower to be considered a 10. Pretty nice. This is essentially what the Star Druid gets for a benefit, but it also applies to your attack and ability checks as well. Make you, if you wanted to multi-class this with like the Paladin, honestly a really good multi-class because you get the spell slots, the quicken spell, and all the defensive abilities from this, making it a very interesting, even on like a Hexblade Warlock, or if you want to go with a Bard, any of the Charisma classes work perfectly when you add in this to the equation. Level 14, our Bastion Wards will now apply a ward to any number of allies, which is a great ability if you go past level 12. And our level 18 ability is a Clockwork Cavalcade. So basically this restores 25 health, removing any negative effects. You can only use this per long rest unless you want to expend sorcery points on it. So yeah, it's a really nice ability. Again, you're defensive, mostly a proactive defender versus like the going with the Celestial. Divine Soul, they're more reactive in healing back damage. We are trying to prevent it in the first place. So really cool. You got the ability here to heal your entire team for that 25 health. And then 7 sorcery points to recast it. And then we got our Bastion of Law here, which allows us to roll however many die. If you want to do a 5d8 on your teammate there, Shadowheart now has her Bastion Ward. So here is where we can reduce the damage. So you get this prompt here, which allows you to pick one of these. You can use up to all 5 die at a time, or you can just use one at a time there to reduce the damage you would take by a 1d8 there. So, sorry Shadowheart, just doing this to show off. So yeah, you can reduce it. That was a critical hit. But with our 4 die there, we were able to reduce the damage by 9. So that's pretty good for a crit. Now, as mentioned, the Divine Soul is a bit more reactive than proactive. You get access to their spell list, which is okay. I guess Guidance would probably be the best choice here, unless you want to Toll the Dead for some reason. But you get access to Create or Destroy Water, which is a fantastic spell for a sorcerer that can quicken spells. Huge buff, although the Storm Sorcerer also gets this with many other benefits, so I wouldn't pick it if you just wanted that, but you also get access to Command, which is great. And that 2d4 bonus to attack roll or saving throw. One of the biggest benefits of this is getting an expanded spell list, because you're able to pick not only your sorcerer spells, but access to cleric spells as well, which sometimes has some overlap with things like Hold Person being there as well. What's also great is if you don't want to run a cleric, you can run this with Spirit Guardians as their concentration. The only reason you probably wouldn't want to run this alongside a cleric is you can only damage an enemy 1 time per turn with Spirit Guardians, so if it's a cleric running around dropping fireballs as well, it works really well here. So at level 5, getting access to Counterspell and Spirit Guardians is such a crazy combination, in addition to that 2d4 bonus you got to saving throws. But level 6 gives us our Empowered Healing, so when you are a creature within 1.5 meters of you cast a spell that restores health, increase the amount of restored by twice the spell's level. So yeah, even if you do want to run another cleric, I guess you can run 1 Spirit Guardian and then 1 healer focus, because the Empowered Healing does benefit both of you. But you're also great support, because again, twinning haste is probably the most beneficial thing you can do in this game with an action. So yeah, Sorcerer on top. And at level 11, you get the Otherworldly Wings Flight, which is similar to the Dragonborn, or the Draconic Sorcerer Fly. Really nice to have. And the absurd part is you do get access to Planar Ally, which is one of the downsides of Sorcerers. They don't get any summons until now. But even if you don't want that, Hero's Feast, as mentioned, with a staff that gives you an extra cast, will give your entire team extra health, and they can also camp out in Cloud Kill if you want to utilize that. Blade Barrier is good. Create Undead gives you a big summon, but yeah, Planar Ally and Spirit Guardians are just two of the best spells in the game. And at level 14, we get a second favorite of the gods per short rest, allowing you to get that Duty 4 benefit more often. Super useful. And at level 18, we get Unearthly Recovery when you have half your remaining health points or less, restore half your maximum health points as a bonus action. Really good, obviously. Level 18 is something you don't normally hit on a normal campaign, even when using the mod that expands your level cap, so I think this is perfectly fair. So if you run low on health, you can just go here, Unearthly Recovery, and boom! Again, you're not going to get this till very late in the game, but it's fun to have, and it's available per long rest. I think my favorite part about this class is you can have your cake and eat it too. And especially with how Baldur's Gate 3 works with things like Staff of Spell Power and Mark of Heshker giving you free casting of things like Planar Ally and Spirit Guardians, you can run into combat with a very tooled up kit without even having to really expend any spell slots on some of your damaging spells. So you can then start blasting with Chain Lightning, or you also got Global Vulnerability as a backup, so you're really good defensively and obviously offensively too as a cleric, and also getting access to Planar Ally. The Genie with Thunderwave can take out some enemies really easily, so it's powerful. Now the Lunar Sorcery is a little bit confusing because it's not always clear what form you want to be in. So you got your Lunar Embodiment allowing you to attune to one of the moon's phases, allowing you to cast certain spells once without expending a spell slot. So the spell on the left will be in our full moon spell, Shield. In our new moon, we get Ray of Sickness, and the Crescent Moon gives us Color Spray. So at levels 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, we're going to get spells here depending on which embodiment of the moon we're in, and we can cast that for free. We also get Sacred Flame, which comes built in with a dual cast with Moonfire, allowing you to cast to another additional creature. It's a dex save, so it's a little bit not great against goblins, but hey, it's a good option. Our full moon spell at level 3 will be Lesser Restoration, new moon spell Blindness, and Crescent Moon spell Enthrall. Level 5's full moon spell will be Remove Curse, our new moon spell will be Vampiric Touch, and Crescent Moon Slow. Level 6 gives us our Lunar Boons. Whenever you use a meta magic on a spell of a school associated with your Lunar Embodiment phase, you reduce the cost of sorcery points by 1, and expending a Lunar Boon in the process. Then we also get Waxing and Waning. After you cast each of your level 1 lunar spells once without expending a spell slot, provided you're in the correct Lunar Embodiment phase. Additionally, as a bonus action, you can spend a sorcery point to change your Lunar Embodiment phase. So that's actually pretty nice because this gives you more versatility now in combat. And now we get some more spells here with our Death, Ward, Confusion, and Greater Invisibility. A really nice spell, actually. And then for our level 9 spells, we get Dispel Evil and Good, Hold Monster, and Dominate Person. Level 11 gives us our Lunar Empowerment, so this also will give us additional benefits when we're in our Lunar Embodiment forms. So in our full moon, we can use a bonus action to shed a bright light in a 3 meter 10-foot radius around you, granting your allies in that aura advantage on investigation and perception checks. This is obviously really good if you're exploring. New moon, you get advantage on stealth checks, and when you're in darkness, attack rolls against you will have disadvantage. That's also really good. There's some gear that lets you hide in darkness for free. In the Crescent Moon, you'll have resistance to necrotic and radiant damage. And this is where I mentioned it's kind of, you need to know what form you want to be in at the time. Full Moon if you're exploring, New Moon if you want to do something stealthy, and then the Crescent Moon if you know you're going against either radiant or necrotic damage. And level 14 gives us a Lunar Tide. You can use your Waxing and Waning feature to change your lunar embodiment phase without expending a sorcery point. So now, free bonus action, change your form. And level 18 gives us a very fun lunar phenomena, depending on what form we're in. So the full moon gives us a bright, potentially blinding light enemy. It will blind enemies in an area of effect around us, and this allows us to cast Lunar Remedy once this turn, so give yourself a free heal. We also got the Lunar New Moon here, which gives you momentarily emanate gloom, potentially stopping enemies in their tracks until the end of their next turn. Additionally, you become invisible to the end of your next turn, so this will stop enemies, you get invisibility. And the Crescent Moon, teleport yourself and one adjacent ally you can see. You and that ally both gain Lunar Resilience until the start of your next turn. You get these per long rest, but you can spend 5 sorcery points if you want to cast it again. So these have really cool VFX too, so going into your moon forms here, you can change between them depending on what benefits you want to get out of them. So going into our full moon here, we're able to, you see someone in that, and then we can use our Lunar Phenomena. So this one here will actually heal us. The Lunar Remedy is a 3d8 heal, so you can apply this, it'll blind all enemies nearby. And then you get the free heal here, the Lunar Remedy, which does a 3d8 heal, so you can apply that to a teammate if you wanted to. It disappeared because I didn't use it fast enough, but we can also use those bonus actions to change into different forms. So you can see here we got advantage on investigation and perception checks here, and then we can then use one of these spells if we want to expend our sorcery points. And when you use a crescent moon form here, you're able to give a target, when you teleport them, resistance to all damage until the start of the next turn. So that's actually really nice too. So yeah, you come with some support skills, defensive, but also if you need a heal, you can do that too. So there, we have the full 5th edition Sorcerer Subclasses now available on console and PC in Baldur's Gate 3, thanks to IncogneatoBurrito here. So if you haven't already, go download this mod. It's fantastic. So yeah, just want to break that down as I absolutely adore this mod. And let me know your favorite subclass from the mix here in the comments. Hope you have a great day. We'll catch you all in the next video.